So
Yeah.
he's being like, here's music. Remember listening to music?
Yeah.
And it distracts him and makes him calm so that the doctor can walk around the room and the zombie doesn't want to eat him because that's not the instinct. The instinct is now, wow, Beethoven is really fucking cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's interesting too is that the zombie like has very subtle emotional reactions to like the music, especially.
I
like
actually
he actually
didn't even look up who played the zombie, but he's awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's so good.
It's
Another
Sherman,
thing
Sherman
that-
Howard apparently is the actor behind that.
Another thing I found interesting was
Seinfeld.
the fact that the doctor was like, okay, we got him to, recognize music. He's heard Beethoven. It moved him. He can shave. He can do all these things. Now let's teach him how to cock a gun. Genius. Let's arm these zombies and teach them how to use assault rifles. Like, dude, maybe take a few more steps before you give them the gun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, at the end of the day, Bob kind of saves the day with those skills in a way, but it's
not really saves the day, but I
No,
understand what you're saying. He ends up using them for
Yeah.
a measure that's good for him.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe I'm misremembering, but I mean, the military dude was not good. He was starting to kill people at that point. So
yeah, he was definitely.
I wasn't feeling bad for him when he died. That's all I'm saying.
That's for
And-
sure. But it is more of an act of personal revenge than it is like a
yes. And I will say this: it was a pathetic death. Like absolutely,
I loved it.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
It's just like it's watching. Well, one, you're being killed by a zombie.
Yeah.
Right. Not only are you being killed by a zombie, but you're being killed by a zombie using the very tool that you're supposed to be an expert in.
Yeah.
You're a military man.
Yeah.
And a zombie killed you in battle.
Shot you.
Shot you.
A zombie knowingly, consciously shot you.
And while he's doing that, he's acting as if like he's like going through this battle that's so difficult. I'm like, dude, a zombie is shooting you right now. You're pathetic. Yeah.
I will say though, as much as I agree with that, I will say he has one of the hardest as fuck death lines I've ever heard a character give.
Oh, what is it again?
Because it's the great scene where, again, there's a couple of these because George A. Romero and Tom Savini both really loved the idea of pulling a human character apart.
I have something to say about that too.
But he's being pulled apart. They're pulling on his arms and pulling on his legs, and you're watching his intestines fall out. And what does he say? He says, "Chomp on them, chomp on this, like chomp on."
Yeah, you're right.
He's egging the zombies on to eat his intestines.
Yeah,
because
you know what? I will admit, I will say that he did score some points after when he was doing that. I think the pathetic vibe that I'm getting is more so when, like what I was saying, the fact that he's a military man, a zombie is shooting him,
is humiliating,
and he's still acting like he's like this tough guy. And at the end, sure enough, he does pull that off. Well done.
That, yeah.
But just to have him like Bob is like just stumbling with his gun, barely can aim. And he fucking shoots him twice, and he's acting like this was such a personable battle. I'm like, dude, you're coming off real pathetic here until the end. But I'll give you that.
But that's what I kind of got Casualties of War out of, because we talked about how they put on like this really macho, like animalistic kind of performance.
Absolutely.
And even in this too, you get a little bit of the guys doing that, where he's like talking about how he's again how they're below and they're talking about their dicks, and they're talking about she's got the yellow dick or whatever. Like and they're trying to like really hype themselves up in this kind of way.
Yeah.
And again, we're talking about, what we're trying to do is cure primitive animalistic behavior. That's literally what the job is. And meanwhile, people are reverting into this more like primordial version of themselves as it's kind of happening. So it's really interesting because he's getting at the idea, he's really expanding on the idea that maybe men create monsters and become monsters in the same way that we're trying to cure monsters.
Yeah.
So it really delves into that idea and that sort of contradiction.
And just briefly, speaking on the ripping somebody in half and ripping them apart.
Oh my God.
The sequence in which the guy is screaming and his head is
pulled.
taken, and they do
The pitch change.
fucked me up.
Yep.
So fucked. That's honestly one of the most disturbing things I've seen in all the movies we've watched.
And it
screwed me up, man.
And because the makeup is obviously incredible, but really it was that pitch change.
Oh, it's disturbing.
Because again, what we're seeing is a zombie puts his two fingers into a guy's eyeballs, and he starts pulling on his head while the other zombies are gnawing on his body. So his head is being pulled out, and you see like sort of like pieces of the flesh, like
Yeah, you start to see the
ripping
neck
very
muscles
poorly.
stretch.
Yeah, and they're stretching and being pulled out.
And as a vocalist, just like the stretch and then the high pitch forcefully into it was fucking,
because
God.
they turned the pitch up, and I mean I guess the idea is that
and then they cut it
that his vocal cords are being like ripped apart,
stretched and then ripped.
Yeah.
Holy hell. That's my nightmare, man. Like it was just like the most disturbing thing I think I've watched on the entire show.
Yeah, I gotta say, like the excruciating detail of the bodies and the flesh as they're being torn apart here is absolutely unbelievable.